In today's video, we are going to be tackling one of the most common questions I'm asked, and that is, should I buy a new construction home or should I buy an existing home? Today, we are going to be talking about 9 different points of what you need to consider when deciding between one of these two options. And if you stick around to the end, we're going to be talking about the cost difference and the difference in monthly payment on a new home versus an existing home, and we're going to give a real life example. So stay tuned and let's get into the video. My name is Connor Olson. This is the Living in North Austin YouTube channel. If you have any questions about relocating to the Austin area, feel free to reach out. My contact info is in the description below. Send me a text or send me an email. Be happy to help you figure out what home is right for you. Let's jump right in. So the first point and most obvious one when considering a new home versus an existing home is going to be the current state of the property. Now I say this is obvious because on a brand new home, everything is brand new. On an existing home, not everything is new. Some things are old. Some things are recently replaced. It all depends on the homeowners in the past and what they've updated and what they haven't. So that is definitely something you want to consider. Is having something brand new very important to you? Or are you okay with some things being a little more dated, some things maybe not lasting quite as long? For example, a new roof is going to last you 20 to 30 years. Let's say an existing home that you're looking at purchasing has a roof that's 10 years old. Well, that means in the next 10 to 20 years, you need to factor in a roof replacement. Some people are okay with that. Some people, want to push that off as long as possible. So the current state of the property is going to be the most obvious one that you need to consider when looking at a new home versus an existing home. Okay, point number 2 is going to be warranties. Now this is very unique to new homes. New homes come with warranties on basically everything. So you get warranties on the plumbing, you get warranties on the electrical, on the roof, on the foundation. Most of your major systems on a new homes come with a warranty, and the builder says, if this breaks within this amount of time, I will come back out and I will fix this for you. And I don't know if you've gone through any warranty issues in the past, but this is easier said than done. Sometimes companies are slow to make good on their warranty promises. Sometimes they don't get the job done just right. It's not that important to them sometimes. So even though you have these warranties and it's great and they cover a lot of things, there's no guarantee that the problem will be solved in a timely fashion. But at the end of the day, you are getting something fixed for free. So that is definitely a perk. So the next point to consider is the quality of life when residing in that neighborhood. For example, if you are someone that likes to be close to your gym, you go every morning, you want it to be a short drive. If you buy a home on the outskirts of the city, it might be a long drive for you to get to that gym. Or let's say you want to be close to organic grocery stores, and let's say you're in a brand new area, there's not a lot of development out there. You might be driving a ways to get to a grocery store and then even farther to get to a healthy grocery store. So that's definitely something to consider, is the quality of life will change depending on an existing neighborhood versus a brand new neighborhood. So that's something to ask yourself, is what's important to me? Is the house more important to me, or is the quality of life that I'm going to have in this area? And another point, just when thinking about neighborhoods in general, this goes for existing and new construction, is what kind of amenities do you want? For me, I like having a pool in the neighborhood, and I like walking trails that I can, take the kids on. We can ride bikes, we can go running, things like that. So I'm able to find those in new communities and existing ones, but they're not everywhere. Not every community has a pool, not everyone has walking trails. So it's definitely something that you can find in both, but you just need to be aware of what's important to you. Okay, next point is new neighbors versus existing neighbors. Now, I've had some friends recently that moved to a brand new community, and they really enjoyed it. They had 2 young kids, and they liked the fact that within a 3-year time period, all the new families moved in, all the people moved in. So basically you're starting fresh. No one knows anyone, and so that really spurred a lot of neighborhood engagement that you might not have in an existing neighborhood. So they said a couple times a week it was very common for 6 or 7 families to find themselves with their kids playing in the street, riding bikes, playing soccer in the street, things like that, because they're just trying to get to know their neighbors. Whereas, let's say you moved into a neighborhood where some families have been there 30, 40 years, there's not going to be that same kind of enticement to meet other neighbors. People might be more enclosed to themselves. They might, just stay at home more. They might not need new friendships. They might have really solid existing friendships. So that's just something to consider. It's one of those things you can't really guarantee it's going to happen in every neighborhood because it depends on the residents, but that is something that is definitely possible and might be a perk of moving to a new neighborhood. Okay, location. So I kind of touched on this when talking about your quality of life, but location is very different on an existing neighborhood and a brand new neighborhood. So typically you have a city center, and over time the city center grows and builds out. In Austin, the city center was founded in the late 1800s. So, think about like a mile radius around Austin. That was probably the extent of the population for 50, 100 years. I don't know. But as time grows, as families grow, as people relocate, that's when a new development comes over here, a new one over here, and people just slowly, start finding more space and building more homes. That's not the case for everything. It's not like there's a radius around the city where everything gets built at once. Some pockets are newer, some pockets are older, but by and large, when you're building a new development, it's going to be on the outskirts of the city. These builders that are building these developments are buying 50, 100, 200 acres at a time, and they're building these things out for sometimes 10 years or more. And the reason they're doing that is because it's the most cost-effective way to do it. So for example, the nation's largest builders like D.R. Horton and Lennar build these massive, massive communities on the outskirts, and they will take 10 years and they will build 800 homes in a community. So when you are moving to one of those neighborhoods, you need to know that you will be on the outskirts of town, and a lot of times there's not going to be a lot of infrastructure when you get that far out. There's a saying in real estate where residential leads commercial. Basically, the residential homes will expand faster than the commercial businesses will expand. So, for example, I know a neighborhood in Northeast Austin that their homes were starting to get built out in 2018, 2019. And, 5-6 years later, they're starting to put in a grocery store, a gas station. They kind of wait until there's enough population to support the businesses that then relocate there. So just know that if you're buying one of these areas and you're far out of town, it might be a while for you to get an H-E-B next to you, a gym, a gas station, things like that. But over time, the commercial will catch up and things will be built closer to you. So that's just something to consider. Is there's no guarantee that those will be built out, but typically they will come. They just lag behind the residential. Next point is customized design. So in some new homes, you can start customizing different amenities in the home. You might be able to add a bedroom, change the countertops, change the cabinet colors, add an extended porch on the back. Depends on the builder. Some of them allow it, some of them don't. But that's definitely a perk of new construction. Whereas on an existing home, if you want to add a bedroom, the sellers aren't going to add a bedroom for you. It's you kind of just buy it as is. So that's definitely something to consider. If you want to customize your home, new construction might be the way to go. If you don't mind if it's customized or not, then you can go with a new construction home where there's no customization, or you could just buy an existing home. The next point that we're going to talk about is cost. So new homes typically cost more than existing homes. It's kind of like a car. A brand new car is going to cost you $30,000. And that same car, if it's used in 1 year old, it's going to cost you $20,000. So there is a premium for a brand new home because, like I said, it's never been used. The roof is brand new. The water heater, the AC units are all brand new. There's nothing wrong with it. So there's a premium on brand new homes. That also means that the existing homes will be cheaper. So if you're looking just at price point, new homes more expensive, existing homes less expensive. There's more to the cost than just the price tag that you see online. And that brings us to our next point, and that is incentives. So when you're selling a property, you as a seller can offer incentives to attract a buyer to come purchase your property. This is very common with builders because they have 10, 15 houses for sale at any given point. Some builders that are nationwide have thousands of homes for sale. So they have so much money that they can offer incentives to the buyers. They have a lot more money, a lot more resources where they can offer things like, free upgrades in our design center. You can get these, different colored floors for 50% off. We will upgrade your cabinets for, $5,000 instead of $12,000. They have a lot of power and wiggle room because they have so many homes that they're trying to sell. So incentives typically look like one of three things. One is going to be they will give you design center incentives, like I mentioned, like new floors or cabinets. They will give you closing cost incentives, so they will cover certain expenses that you incur when buying a home, like they'll pay your title fees, they'll pay your title insurance, things like that. And then the third is they will get you a lower interest rate. So these are the most common three, and right now we're seeing a lot of all three going on. Depends on the builder and which one they want to do, but it's very common to get all of these three right now in the summer of 2024. Also, when you're buying a new home, a lot of times the builder has an attached lender. So they're technically separate companies, but they're under the same umbrella. So a lot of times they'll say, hey, I'm buying a Pulte home, and they will have a Pulte home lending company. And they say, if you use our lender can also give you incentives to buy the home. So then we're not making money just on selling the house, we're making money on the loan as well. So because you're bundling both together with us, we can give you a bigger discount. So that is definitely a tip, is price out what it looks like if you bought with the preferred lender. A lot of times they're going to give you more closing costs, they're going to give you the lower interest rate, and just a lot more perks than if you just used your typical bank that has no tie to the property at all. Our last point is going to be tips on when to buy a new construction home. There's two times when you get the best deals on new construction home. The first is going to be when you purchase a home at the end of the builder's fiscal year. So just like when you're buying a car, you're probably going to get your best deal on December 31st. They're going to try to get as many cars off the lot because they need to report how many they've sold, and they are giving the salespersons extra bonuses. They're really incentivizing people to buy all the homes that they have for sale. So that's the first thing, is to know when is this builder's end of fiscal year, or it could be end of the quarter. A lot of times between one of those two times are going to be great opportunities to get the most off of the price of a property. And they're not always the same. For example, Lennar, their fiscal year ends in November, whereas the majority of builders, their fiscal year ends in December 31st. So that's just definitely something to ask. If you're looking to buy a home within the next 6 months, ask the builder, when does your fiscal year end? What do you expect your discounts to be at that time? The next best time to purchase a new construction home is at the beginning of the project. So let's say a builder has this massive piece of land and they're going to build 5 phases. And basically what that means is they have a chunk of 80 homes. They are going to build these 80 homes over the next 12 months, and then they're going to move on to the next section. And they're going to build these 80 homes 12 months. And they move their way through the neighborhood for 5 years, and they'll go through 5 phases. So the best deals on the homes are going to be when you buy at the beginning of the phase. So to put it this way, let's say you're going to go buy a home and it's the first one being built in this whole subdivision. You have seen the renderings of what the neighborhood's going to look like. They said the amenity center is going to go over there. They said the pool is going to go over there, but you don't really have anything to base it off of. That is when they have to really discount the price in order to get those homes sold. Once things start getting built out more and more, the builder can start charging higher and higher prices because things are closer to completion. People know what they're going to get. They can see what the neighborhood's like. They can see what the existing homes were like, the ones that have been built for a couple years now. That is when the prices start going up and up and up. I personally know many people who have bought a home in the beginning of one of these phases, and then 2 to 3 years later, their homes have gone up 15-20% in value. And this is outside of COVID. This is not during the crazy COVID prices. This is just, you bought a home, the price goes up because they're still building that same exact home in the neighborhood. You can easily tell what the current value is for that home. So look at when the end of the fiscal year is for the builder and what phase are they in and how many phases are going to be in that community. So now I wanted to talk about the difference in monthly payment if you choose a new construction home versus an existing home. So a couple weeks ago, I was touring brand new homes in Kyle, and these buyers were looking for a 5-bedroom house with at least 2 bathrooms and probably around 2,200 square feet. So we looked at a lot of different homes, ranging in price from $350,000 up to $475,000. And one thing that I pointed out to them is every single builder had a different interest rate. They're not standardized. Each one is offering, just like they're offering a different price, they're offering a different interest rate. Just like they're offering different finishes. Some of them have white cabinets, some of them have gray cabinets, some of them have sod, some of them don't have sod. It all depends on the builder. So to put it in perspective, I pulled up some numbers of what this home would look like if they purchased it from a builder versus the same thing from an existing home. So let's just say both homes are $350,000. Let's assume that the buyer is putting 10% down. On an existing home, you are going to get whatever the current 30-year fixed rate is for that day. So you can get it down a little bit, but it is what it is. You can't get huge discounts off of it. So let's assume $350,000 purchase price, 10% down, and today we're at a 6.25% interest rate. So your principal and interest, this isn't the whole payment, this is just principal and interest on the loan, is going to be $1,940. That doesn't include taxes, insurance, and PMI on the loan. So $1,940. The lowest interest rate we saw when we were touring was 4%. So I wanted to run the numbers at 4% just to show you the difference. So the last one was at 6.25. This one's at 4. Same thing, $350,000, 10% down, 4% interest rate. Principal and interest is going to be $1,504. That is a difference of $436. What is that? $5,000 per year. So just by choosing a new home versus an existing home, these people would be saying $5,000 per year on their mortgage payment forever, because it's a locked, mortgage payment. It doesn't fluctuate. It's a fixed rate. So that is definitely something that you need to consider, is what is my monthly payment going to be? Yes, the price might be a little higher, but I'm getting these warranties. It might be a little further out, but maybe I'm okay with that. And then what is my interest rate going to be? So that's definitely something to consider. They have the best interest rates right now. You really can't beat them. And that's one of the ways that they're getting these homes sold, is just by offering the lower interest rate. So take into account all these things that we spoke about today, and you'll be on your way to determining whether a new home is right for you or an existing home is right for you. So let's make the same assumption and look at the cost if you're going to buy a $750,000 house. So at $750,000, 10% down, 6.25% interest rate, your principal and interest will be $4,156. That same mortgage at a 4% interest rate would be $3,223. That's a difference of almost $1,000 a month, or $12,000 per year. So you can see, as the loan amount starts to increase, the spread of payment between the lower interest rate from the new construction home and the higher interest rate from an existing home really starts getting more and more drastic. So I wanted to give a couple of real life examples of what the difference is between an existing home across the street from a new home, price differences, quality differences, and kind of go from there. So these two homes are in Kyle. You can see this is Kyle down here. There's Austin up here. So we're down here in Kyle. Let's say you're looking for a 4-bedroom house, 2 baths, and you can see this one has 1,880 square feet. This one has 1,853 square feet. This is the new one. This is the existing one down here. So again, these aren't going to be apples to apples, because this new one was built in 2023. This old one was built in 2004. So I just tried to get as close as possible, kind of show the difference. So let's check out Beechwood. So this home actually already closed at $324,000. Okay, and we'll go look through some pictures. So you can tell it's dated. It's got a classic gray walls, probably redid the carpet, got a shower insert. You have some well-worn cabinets, got some yard, you got a porch. So nothing spectacular about it. It's a house, right? It's not amazing. It's your typical house that you're going to find in Kyle that's 20 years old. Okay, so that one sold for $324,000. Now we'll go to the new house. This one is brand new. You can tell it looks different on the outside, looks more updated. Here is the floor plan, and then let's check out the inside. So you got the kitchen, you have white backsplash, you have white cabinets, white countertop, you got LVP, white walls, big windows. You got a stand-up shower, got a big walk-in, other bathroom, bedroom, laundry room, bedroom, backyard. So backyard's smaller, but face value, they're pretty similar. They're both 4-bed, 2-bath. They're around the same square footage, but this brand new one is priced at $380,000, and this old one is priced at $324,000. So I wanted to point out the first thing, which is the price difference. Like I said before, a new construction home is going to have a higher price because you have the warranty, it's brand new, it's unused. So all those things make it have a higher price. So that's factored in. And then you also have the incentives that you need to factor in as well. One of the incentives that I know this builder is offering on this house is they're offering a 4% interest rate. So I wanted to point out the differences in price. So on this one, let's say this is the existing home. I believe it was $325,000. You're going to put down 10%. Your principal and interest only are going to be $1,800 per month. Okay, so that doesn't include your property taxes or insurance, just paying the loan, $1,800 a month. Now let's go to the next one. And again, this is just a mortgage calculator from Zillow. You could just Google mortgage calculator and you'll find something very similar to this. I'm gonna put 10% down. This one will be a 4% interest rate, and I'm gonna pull off the PMI and the taxes and insurance. So this payment is going to be $1,633. So you have a higher price point, lower interest rate, and end up with a lower payment. And again, $1,801 for the existing one, $1,633 for the new home. So that just shows the difference that the interest rate can give you. So this older home will cost you more per month than this brand new home will, just because of the interest rate. So I wanted to point that out, that that's definitely something to consider. So you got to look at the monthly payment as well as the price tag when you're determining new home versus existing home.